easy river to dam and cut off the gorge. But the Gearagh is an exception, and you can see why it formed. If you can see the hills of Tomes to the south and Slaveen to the north, and you can see how flat this whole thing is. It's as flat as a pancake, and this whole flat expanse was created by a glacier, and it was quite a river that spread out into an incredible amount of little rivers and streams, and kept dividing and rejoining and formed this incredible delta. Now, the delta sense of the forest sense was confined to the inner parts, and I'll get you to walk out there after. But all this area would normally flood when the reservoir is close to its maximum. So that's why it's turning into an incredible wildlife wilderness or wetland. So all this area here, from the hills over there to the hills on that side, and going back almost 2 or 3 miles, any piece of land that was farmable was kept as farms. But in between here, you've just this incredible wilderness area for wildlife, and that makes the Gearagh even more unique, not just for the alluvial forest that was inside in the heart of it, but this huge expanse. And probably in the early days, going back maybe to the 18th century, the 17th century, the Gearagh would have extended out here, and the river went all out over there. And it was, we'd say, like with land reclamation over the hundreds of years, was pushed in to the interior until eventually they couldn't push it in any further. Okay, so look, I'll keep you moving, and you'll be moving on right out to the middle and onto the bridge, where we can actually have a look at the alluvial forest, and I'll explain a bit more about it. And just on another point, this is the old Dunmanway Road. This is the way people would have come for Dunmanway, and obviously had to be closed down, and the new road was taken along the north side. This is the road that Michael Collins would have travelled on his ill-fated day on his way to Bairn-na-Blaw.
The black and tans to Kilmichael. The black and tans to Kilmichael.
And the black and tans came this way to Kilmichael, and one of them actually survived the situation, and a young soldier called Sodi, and he tried to get back to Macroom Castle, and he knew he had to cross the Gearagh, and this is the way he came, but he got caught here, and he was killed. And we'll be passing the bog later on where he was buried. But he was exhumed years later, and his body was taken back to his family in England, thankfully. Or no, it wasn't. He was actually buried back in Inch. His parents couldn't afford to bring the body home, I think. And he was buried in Inch and the grave is still there, where you can see. So it was sad. But anyway, look, we're moving on, and we'll stop inside in the middle. So that's nearly it. So look.
So we're out walking the Gearagh on a guided tour. It's a bit windy and cold. A survival ridge. And Jowie. Hey Jowie. This is Jowie. And the usual suspect. Right, I'll film a bit more in a bit.
Before back in the days of the McCaffrey, it's a very ancient bit of limestone, and it extends right down the valley and comes out into Castlemore. But this quarry cross is intersected by crosses the Dunmanway Road by what we call the old Port Road, because this goes all the way back to Bantry, and this was the butter route when people had to carry butter to Cork. This is the way they came, and you were heading for the port to Cork this way. So in that sense, it's a very, very old route. And a lot of people, when they were immigrating from the Gearagh or whatever, they'd head out the Port Road, and that's why it was called a Port Road, because you were heading for the boat and you wouldn't be coming back. So the limestone quarry here then, it's about 150 feet deep, and there's a road spiralling down into it. And there was a little community built up around it, and as we go down here, you probably won't see it, but there's a photograph of the little shop. There was a little galvanised shop there, and that's where you bought everything. And the family were called Horgans, and they moved up to Cork City and then moved down. So there was a few houses there, and if you look into the bushes, you'll actually see the remains of some of the buildings. But it's now after being taken over by nature. Okay. So, okay, look, I'm going to let you move up and go out onto the causeway. You can watch out for the building maybe, or the remains of so many passages. And I'll meet you on the bridge where there's 4 balloons tied up. And we'll be reversing and then we'll be coming back. But And yeah, this obviously is the most scientifically important part of it. And I suppose when most people come in, they're a bit sort of bemused by all the tree stumps. But luckily, I suppose over the last couple of years, because of the problems with the flooding in the city, which is all to do with the changes in the river as well as anything else, they've been keeping the water levels incredibly low, basically to try and offset flooding and hold off on the water. But you can see the complex of islands. And now I know because the water has dropped, they're all getting covered in the reeds and the grasses and things like that. And you can actually see there's trees beginning to germinate, all the little willows. So it's actually slowly reverting back into the forest if the water is kept down. But most importantly is to understand that network of islands going way off down in there and all the channels in between them. And it looks reasonably okay at the moment, but when that was covered in full oak forest, and if you look upriver, you can see the forest is marching down. And that is restoring alluvial forests, which is what we're fighting for. And technically speaking, we'd love to see it all come back. But going into that, it'd be lovely to take you in, but it's incredibly dangerous. And because the channels are full of mud, and outside the danger, it's the ecological sensitivity of it. The islands are pure alluvial, just almost like sand. So when you too many people stand on them, the islands start collapsing. And the only thing that holds them together is the roots of the plants and the trees. And of course, if you decide then we don't walk in the streams. The streams are full of freshwater mussels, which are heading for extinction as well. These incredibly rare freshwater sponges. Normally the sponge is found in the Pacific and the tropical waters, whereas the freshwater sponge growing in great profusion up here inside in the channels. So when you go in there and you're inside in the forest, where every tree and every island looks identical, you get totally disorientated. And it's impossible to keep going a straight line because of the complexity of the nature of it. So you'll find you actually start going around in circles and you don't know it. And you just find you can't get out. And it's like being lost up on top of a mountain in fog. You can't really see the straight line, so you go around in a circle without realising it. And that can still happen to you inside there because you're minding yourself all the time. And the old name for that the families people, whatever they only all speak Irish, was Meshgan Meori. And of course when I used to hear it, you'd get the Meshgan Meori, I just thought it was an old wives' tale. And Meshgan and Meori basically is brain and confusion, or confused brain. And you just keep your own in circles. And it actually happened to me once. And I got such a fright, I just thought I was losing my mind because I said, look, it's only an old wives' tale. And this whole thing going around in circles can't be happening. But luckily my grandmother told me that they had an old trick that they knew how to get out of that Meshgan Meori. And you all heard the thing, turn your coat inside out and all that sort of stuff. But they had a much more pragmatic way, and I'm not going to tell you. Because you're all going to go in there then. But hopefully at some stage, maybe if the ESB can recognise it and understand it, that some place like that could be opened up to eco-tours and people be able to get in and appreciate it, and you would be absolutely fascinated by it. But I suppose to go back to the days when it was all like this, the people like my family and all the other neighbours who used to live inside in it, they knew it like the back of their hand and they were able to hide inside in it. So when the stranger went in, he got the Meshgan Meori and you couldn't find anyone inside there. So that's why it was famous for making the poutine. They'd be up on the hill there and they'd see all the smoke coming up from the stills inside, but when they'd go down in, they could never actually catch anything. And the only way you could get through it really safely was in a very special flat-bottom boat. It was like a gondola. And they used big hazel poles and they pushed themselves through the streams and migrated through it, which was a habit, or I would say a custom that was going back into the Middle Ages. And they were still at it in the 40s. And even a lot of the actual customs they had go back to that period. They actually had their own form of steel wool, and it was a particular type of plant, which is one of those little horsetail plants which uses sand or silicate to strengthen its stems, and they just wrap that around their knuckles and to clean any pot for you. So you know there was a lot of old customs associated with the people, but I suppose from your perspective from today to just to fully appreciate how unique this delta is. And if you took it from the bridge below, and it goes all the way up to Drummies and Drumcarra almost, you're talking about several miles in length, and at its widest point was a mile. So it was a huge wilderness area, and there is a good chance that, you know, as more and more people appreciate and respect it, that a time will come when we'll be able to see the whole thing coming back. And I think it's happening anyway, despite people's efforts not to. As I said, there was no vegetation on any of these islands 10 years ago. And now all of a sudden you can actually see the trees starting to germinate now. So it's starting to come back. Anyway, look, this is as far as where we're going to go here, and I'm going to turn you around and go back in out of the rain. And when you come to the quarry course, go right. Okay? And there's another bunch coming, and I can explain this again to them anyway. Okay? All right.